you also had, kind of a tiff between Larson and Preece. I watched that back. I listened to that quite a bit. This is what we're gonna get. I mean, now you got the media in Preece's face after trying to get him to admit that he knocked out Larson. Well, this is the whole if drivers could speak freely, they would speak freely, but they can't. I mean, I can't imagine the drivers from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s back in the day being muzzled with their comments and not being able to say, yeah, he ran me in the fence. I got him back. Can't do it now, evidently. The precedent is set. And it's up to NASCAR to be consistent. And I want them to be consistent because I told them I'm tired of being the example that y'all set. Like, if you're going to set an example, okay, that's an example. Now you have to, if this is the way you want it, you don't want drivers making contact intentionally. That rule does not exist, by the way. Then you have to judge so. Every wreck now should be investigated for race manipulation. Every wreck or incident or contact should be investigated as wrecking or spinning another vehicle because they set that precedent, and that's what they want.
But surely, deep down, that's not what you want, right? You want Ryan Preece to get out of the car and say, yeah, I wrecked him on purpose. He wasn't clear off he wasn't clear off the corner. He put me in the wall. I repaid the favor. Because that's obviously what happens, right? It's frustrating as a fan when we have to watch him in the media tiptoe around. It's like, just what does it matter? Just say you wrecked him on purpose. He should be allowed to say you just wrecked him on purpose because that's what happened. It didn't change the outcome of the race. It is what it is. So it's like, you want consistency, right? But you want consistency.
Yeah, but you're speaking logically. You're speaking logically, but the decision wasn't logic. It was. I don't know if there's an insurance issue that NASCAR has where they can't have drivers openly admitting that they're crashing others or retaliating because it's an insurance problem. Maybe that's it. If that's it, then just tell us that, and we'll start to understand a little bit more. But it just looks like they're hugely inconsistent. And I just, again, this was in my closing argument. What's detrimental to our sport is not what I say on my podcast. It's telling these drivers they can't show their personality when a microphone's in front of their face, and they can't show their personality on the racetrack for fear of penalization. That is detrimental. But that is the path that they want us to go down.
Do you have a side on this incident between Preece and Larson?
I mean, I watched it, and it looks like Kyle Larson. This is what he does. Kyle's one of my best friends, but at this point, I have to call Kyle out a little bit. Kyle is one of those drivers that puts you in a spot where you have to lift. Raise your hand if this sounds familiar. He's done it to me a few times on the road course. He'll get tired of me contesting my position, so he'll just run me off into the grass. He'll just say, all right, well, you either can lift or you're going through the grass over there. And I think that he wanted to get clear of Preece, so he just gassed it up and said, all right, well, I'm coming up, and you can lift or go into the fence. Preece didn't lift. He got drove into the fence. So, of course, Preece is pissed. And so later on in the race, he crowded Larson up the track. Looked very familiar. Looked very, very familiar to Phoenix. But that's what racing is. I'm not saying either one of them deserve to be penalized, but it depends. Are we going to use the precedent or not? Larson's in the wrong here. Preece stood his ground. He wasn't going to take getting crowded. Wasn't going to take being put to a decision of lift or be put in the fence. And so when he got back to Larson, he gave him the business a little bit. And Larson's mad because he's like, well, hey, it was an hour and a half ago. Can't you just stop being a kid and get over it? Larson wouldn't get over it. I've raced with Larson. He holds grudges when he gets back to you. There's no question. So I think Larson came into this weekend with not a very good attitude. We saw it in his pre-race comments. Again, I'm really good friends with the guy, but I have each person has to be called out individually. This was not Ryan Preece's fault. Then you can argue all you want, but then Kyle drove right down the racetrack on the backstretch and tried to door the shit out of the 41 and ended up wrecking himself in the process. So I love Tony Stewart on the TV. He was like, well, the straightaway is getting really slick now. And I'm like, God bless you, Tony. I love that you stick up for all drivers. Like, it's actually against his team car, but like Tony is straight unbiased. But he's biased to the drivers in the sense that he's going to give all the drivers the benefit of the doubt. So that's what I love about Tony. So, but he was trying to give Kyle an out there to not call him out on driving down the straightaway and trying to wreck the 41 and wrecking himself in the process.
Is there a strategy in this race? Walk by your pit box, you've got 6 or 7 sets of tires laying there, and you use what, 1 or 2?
Yeah, I think I heard that Kyle Larson's team chose not to change tires during the break. If you weren't going to change tires, I don't know why you gave up the track. Well, I guess he needed fuel. Well, not really. I'm not sure. Yes, I think back when the track was a little bit more rubbered in the very first year, the right rear tire would get bald. Like it would wear the tire out. The last 2 years, yeah, there's been no tire wear whatsoever. So, again, it's a dirt track. There's usually not a ton of tire wear, generally speaking, but as heavy as our cars are, you would think it would. But I think these tires are so hard that they don't. And so, to me, that's what makes passing a little bit harder. And when I was looking through data before the race, kind of trying to give my team an idea of what I need to do to go faster or better, I'm like, I'm running the same speed as the leaders. It's just I'm back here 20 cars further back, and I can't go anywhere because of the racetrack. And so we're all running close to the same speed. It's track position racing.
Which comes down to qualifying well,
well, draw
passing point.
Okay, you got to draw well first. So you want to draw fourth, fifth, sixth. You want to pass as many as you can in the very first corner of your heat race, and then you're done. Just live it out from there. Hopefully, you get a good starting spot, and then you're in pretty good shape as long as you don't make a mistake on Sunday.
And that's how you pass cars.
Yep.
That's it.
That's how you do it.
Well, you were in an incident early on in the race.
I was in lots of incidents.
Yes. You were in one in the beginning of the race. Yeah, that's true. You were in one later in the race. Yeah. What I'm getting at is you eventually moved up to 9th, 10th at one of the restarts. You would gain some track position.
I was 7th because we stayed out.
Right
at the end of stage 2 because we were mired in 22nd or 24th, could not go anywhere. So we stayed out, and we were the last car that stayed out. So I was 7th. And by then, I had so many incidents, and my car was tore all to hell that there's no telling what was wrong with it. I mean, it drove totally different at the end of the race than it did even at the midpoint. And I just think that I'd hit so many things with the tires and wheels, and I had no front end left that my car was limited on speed, and I suck.
Okay.
You're trying to give me a reason of why I finished 20?
Yeah, I was curious. You had that, you gained that track position and then started dropping spots.
Okay, I think we summed it up.
I suck. A Toyota did win the race, though. Christopher Bell went to victory lane. Fox was very happy with this because he's a guy with dirt experience, so it kind of validated the dirt race in a sense. Like a dirt guy won the dirt race.
Yeah, it's and I saw Davenport speaking about this as well in his interview. He was like, well, when the track slicks off like this, the cream's going to rise to the top. And when TV was really boasting over, these are the dirt guys up front now. Yeah. So now we know it's a real dirt race. I roll my eyes a little bit to that, but it's it is it was good. I would have loved to see how that last lap was going to pan out. Tyler was really coming on the 20 car there with a couple laps to go, but. It was good. One of the restart wrecks we didn't talk about is the Briscoe took out Ryan Blaney on one of the restarts. I mean, he just kind of went down there and he was like, "Hey, the hump in the middle of the track knocked me to the right." No, that's why you're not supposed to run over them. Like they're so huge. Like, I don't know where he was going to go, but he cleaned out Blaney on one of those restarts, and it's just it's an eye roll, head scratcher. It was like, that was one of those, where are you going? Like, that's not the racetrack down there. But Blaney got the short end of that. Briscoe's running on a broken finger. I think it's on his left hand too, which I'm a left hand pull guy. So when I'm driving, I'm pulling down on my left hand more than I'm steering with my right. So I'm sure that's not totally comfortable, but he still ran extremely good. That's really all I got from that one.